everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be a try a chapter book tag. I don't know why I always struggle. But this time it's going to be a fall like mystery thriller edition. I made you vote in a past video. I made you look at my shelf and you chose 5 books that you wanted me to try and read one chapter, and then I will be continuing the one that I think is the best one, the one that intrigues me the most. So here are the 5 books. So you voted. These are the 5 books. Well, this one is technically going to be an ebook, so we have that one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So usually I tell you a bit about each of them, but frankly I won't have much to say because I do tend to go into my mystery thrillers pretty blind, but that's what I'm doing today. We're going to read a chapter for each book and I will let you know which one is worth continuing in my opinion, tell you a little bit about it, and then finishing the best one. So let's do this. Okay, so the first book I'm going to be reading, I'm going to show this one because it's the physical copy of the second book, but I have the ebook on my phone. So it is going to be In the Woods, I think, by Tana French, which I just counted. I think there's about 50 pages if I read the prologue and first chapter, so that one's going to take me a little while, but all I know so far is that it is a detective, I think, like series. There are so many books out already. I haven't read any yet, but I do have book 2 and I think book 3, I think, on my shelf. I do buy my books used, so I tend to just grab whatever is available. So I will read that and I'll see you in a bit. I technically read the first book last, so if you notice the light change, that's why. So I finished 50-something pages, I feel like, at least on the ebook, of In the Woods by Tana French. Honestly, what the actual F? If you had made me read this book blind, I would have told you it was written by a man, first off. That's not a compliment. It's too soon to know if the character is meant to be this unlikable or like not, but he seems incredibly sexist and kind of homophobic, and I have a lot of issues with a bunch of the things that were said in there. I put a bunch of like, can't remember the name in English, you know what I mean? So yeah, he's basically into this girl and then compares her to a child, which what the actual, I mean, they're detectives, so I'm assuming that the author meant to make that whole like boys club feel. But yeah, it just rubs me the wrong way. And again, it's too soon to know if it's on purpose or not. I will assume it is, but I hate whichever character that is. I don't think they said his name once yet. I probably just didn't notice. But yeah, I don't want to continue that book. I just don't. I probably will eventually. I'm sure some of you will reassure me that it gets better, but right now, not liking it. So the next book I'm trying a chapter is this one. This is A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. I had technically put this author in my video where I was saying like authors I'm not going to read more by, but I have a physical copy of this one on my shelf, and since I'm doing this challenge and you decided that you wanted me to try it, I'm going to read the first chapter, which has about 8 pages. So I think that should be it. We'll decide if I continue reading from this author or not after 8 pages. So that should balance the other like 50 pages of the other one. So not gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous about this one just because I've had, you know, not so much great luck. Words hard. I didn't have a lot of luck reading his books in the past. The writing style is kind of grating me a bit for some reason, because there's a bunch of metaphors basically in long descriptions, and again I said it was 8 pages, so kind of short for it to already annoy me a little bit, but we'll see what happens with that one. I might still give it a shot if it's the best one out of these 5. Kind of doubt it at this point. It's just the second book, but I still kind of doubt it. But it starts with main character going back to her childhood house and giving an interview about what happened there. So it seems like a haunted house, which I've been in the mood for at this point, you know, fall. But I don't think it's going to be the winning one. But I'm still willing to give this book a shot in the future, but not today. I don't think so. A book I've been really wanting to read that you voted for is this one. This is Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. This one has 32 pages for the first chapter, so that's going to be a long one too. I feel like I've seen the movie of this one. Is that possible? And I tried to wait long enough that I would forget most of what it was about, but I believe this woman, every time she goes to sleep, she forgets everything. So looking forward to reading that now. Okay, so I just finished reading the first chapter, which was 32 pages, and I had a feeling it was going to be one of the strong contenders for me just because I had seen the movie and the movie was very intriguing. I don't remember what I said before reading it, but this woman wakes up and she doesn't remember her past like 25 years or something, and she wakes up next to her husband. He's explaining it to her before he goes to work, but then she gets a call from her, well, basically psychiatrist, and he is giving her a book, a journal that she writes in most days, and the book literally says, "Don't trust your husband." And I remember what the movie was about, obviously super vaguely because it's been a while, but essentially she doesn't know who she's supposed to trust, the psychiatrist, herself, her husband. She has no idea. I am super into it, to be honest. I kind of want to continue, but let's see what the two next books will be like and which one will be the winner. Next book is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I feel like I read all of her books, even though like I don't love them, but I don't hate them. So every time I'm like, okay, it's an interesting enough story for me to read it. And this one was everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And I like the cover because it has the raindrops, like 3D. But yeah, this is the one that most of you voted for between two of her books. And the first chapter has 22 pages, so not too bad. So apparently I can count, and the chapter 2 actually is 8 pages, or 7 pages. I was at chapter 3 when I mentioned earlier. So, okay, intriguing. First off, there's a little bit before the first chapter where someone gets a message about not stop digging, about more information. And then the book begins, first chapter, someone came home drunk at their place. They wake up the next morning, they're wondering why their cat is in the room with them. And then when they open the door to leave the bedroom, there's someone standing there. They can't say anything because they're wearing gloves and everything, like latex gloves, so they're freaking out because nobody comes to your place with latex glove if they are there for a good reason. So yeah, that's how it starts. I'm intrigued. Let's see how the next book goes. And last but not least, I shall be reading the first chapter in the book Into the Water by Paula Hawkins, which she's the author of The Girl on the Train. The Drunk Girl, I should say. So the first chapter-ish, I guess, has 9 pages, so not too long. All I know about this one is the author's name, really, and the fact that there's a bunch of characters. But again, if I'm reading like 9 pages, I don't think it's really gonna be a problem. So let's see. So I was also wrong. Really, I can't count. The first chapter is technically like 3 pages, like barely 3 pages, because you have 1 page, then it's like blank, and then you have 1, and then this little bit. Like it is nothing. But it is still intriguing. I feel like it starts on a interesting note. I was going to say good, it's not good. Someone dies in the little first page, so there's that. And then the first chapter, which by the way, each chapter starts with someone's name, so I find it practical when you do that, because sometimes you switch point of view and it's like, ugh. Especially since this one everyone was saying that there's a bunch of characters, and the main character is basically saying, the police arrives there, and they're like learning, you know, it's bad news, but about someone, and they seem to be like, oh, what now? So that's it. Okay, so I have now read the first chapter in all of these books. To be fair, some of them I read so many more pages than other ones that it's kind of unfair a little bit, but you know, that's what the tag is about. So I wasn't sure which mystery thriller to read, so this was perfect to find one, and I think we all know I'm gonna go with this one. So the book has 358 pages. I'm currently at page 35, or at least it's the next number. So I do have like a good 300 pages left, but I feel like I can read this pretty easily. The writing flows very nicely, and I already feel very intrigued to know where's it gonna go, because I forgot, which is good. That's why I wanted to wait. You know, I had seen a movie not knowing it was a book. Now I've forgotten who she can trust, so that's perfect. I will update you probably in a few days. I finished a book last night, late last night. I didn't think I was going to finish it that night, but I just couldn't put it down once I got to that part in the end. What? I can't believe I forgot how the movie went. Although I purposely waited long enough to forget about it, I need to rewatch it to see if they're the same or not. Was it a different ending? How did I forget this? So yeah, I finished before I go to sleep. And obviously I'm gonna keep this spoiler for as much as possible, but as I had mentioned, essentially the story following this woman who had an accident, something happened to her, and she can't form new memories. So in order to try and help her, there's this doctor that is telling her to write things down so she can try to remember her day-to-day life a little bit more, trying to help her condition, but she hides it from her husband. And the book literally starts by saying, "Do not trust Ben," aka her husband. And she has no idea who she can trust. Can she trust herself? Can she trust her husband? Can she trust the doctor? Can she trust her old best friend that isn't in her life anymore? Like, she doesn't know what is true, what isn't, and people are telling you her things, and she doesn't know who's lying, basically. And it's very confusing. I enjoyed how every time you think maybe it's them, then turns out maybe not, or maybe it's them, and it's like, ooh, the whole time. Yes, the ending was good. I am happy with it. I feel like usually I tend to be kind of disappointed by a lot of mystery thrillers. I think the weakest point of the book, I'm trying to think of something, probably the writing style, but I feel like it's a reflection of her mental state, like how she thinks, I guess, because obviously you're seeing the story through her eyes. And considering that she's a writer, I feel like that's probably the weakest point I could find, because I always try to mention one thing that wasn't, 100% perfect. But yes, I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. I overall really enjoyed it. I did feel like the beginning, like the first chapter, I read it super fast, and I feel like I struggled a little bit throughout, again, possibly because of the writing style, the way it was told, and then the ending, I just flew through it, the last like 100 pages. So do I think it's a good book that people should read? Absolutely. I feel like I had seen it on multiple lists. It's probably why I had been disappointed when I realized that I had watched a movie before reading the book. So I'm happy I waited long enough to forget. It's gonna play with my head for a while. I'm happy. I feel like I haven't found a new mystery thriller that I've enjoyed in so long, so finally found one. So this is gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thumbs up, subscribe. I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out. Let me know if you would like me to do more of these tri-chapter book tag. I feel like I should do some for like, I have a bunch of books that I'm not sure if I want to unhaul, like get rid of, so maybe I should try to do that to give them like a last chance kind of thing, or more mystery thrillers, because I still have quite a few that I own a physical copy of that I don't know anything about them except, I have them. So let me know, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye.